The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selena Mackenzie.
Now, in the book, The 1% Good Club, author Cooper Chapman reveals a fresh and exciting new approach to managing your mental health. He joins us now. Great to have you on the show with us, Cooper.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So, you say about dedicating 1% of your day to mental health action. That's what, 40 minutes?
Yeah, 14 minutes and 24 seconds is 1% of your 24-hour day.
Wow, it doesn't sound like much, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much, and it's very achievable for all of us.
So how do we do that then? I understand why it's important, but how do we do it?
Yeah, so over the last few years, I've been working in the mental health space and interviewing hundreds of people on my podcast, trying to understand how we can better manage our mental health. And what I've really learnt is good mental health and feeling good is a practice, and there's some really simple little things that we can do every day. So the 1% Good Club is a community that I actually started a few years ago where people do 10 minutes of mindfulness every single morning, just a simple 10-minute meditation practice, whether it's through a YouTube clip or whether it's through an app like the Calm app. And then every single night, everybody will spend a few minutes, around 4 minutes, practicing gratitude, reflecting on the things that went well during their day, spending a bit of time shining the light on the positives, which is what gratitude really is all about. So it's a simple way to give 10 minutes in the morning, 4 minutes of night, and that way you've actually spent 10 minutes of 14 minutes, 1% of your day on mental health action. And all the neuroscience and all the data shows mindfulness and gratitude are both really powerful things when it comes to better managing our mental health.
Yeah, and I guess breath work too, because if you're meditating, you're deep breathing, aren't you?
Absolutely. Getting our breathing in a controlled way through our nose down deep into our diaphragm and breathing out for longer than we breathe in is a great way to regulate our nervous system. And then, in the book, I've put together 10 different healthy habits because if mindfulness and gratitude don't seem right for you, there's a whole range of different things that I explore the science behind them and then how people can actually implement them into their life so they can actually make lasting change when it comes to their mental health.
Can you run us through the 10 healthy habits?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of years ago, I started to realize that I was learning all of these incredible habits from these experts on my podcast, and I knew how good they were for me, but I wasn't actually doing them every day. So I created a big whiteboard in my house, and me and my partner wrote these 10 habits, and every single day we either tick or we cross whether we did them. And we just saw the evidence of when we were doing these habits, we were feeling so much better. So the 10 habits that I write about and that I try and practice every day are breath work, meditation, some sort of exercise or movement every day, spending a few minutes or a bit of time in nature, communication and connections as a couple or just with somebody in our life, having that, deeper conversation, limiting our screen time and having boundaries around our phones before and bed and when we wake up in the morning. Gratitude is a practice. We have a ticker across whether we ate healthy and we ate at home for the day. Stretching and recovery, spending a bit of time, letting the body wind down at the end of the day, and then making sure we get a good night's sleep and self-care, which sounds like a lot when you go through the 10 of them, but the way I break it down is I kind of stack them on top of each other. I'll wake up and do a guided 10-minute breath work and meditation in the combination. There's 2 of the ticks. I'll then go for some sort of exercise in nature, whether it's for a surf or for a walk. There's your exercise in nature done. And then around the dinner table, I might ask my partner what she's grateful for the day. There's connection and gratitude done together and home eating. And then having that boundary around the phone's a pretty simple one. And then, just a little bit of stretching before bed. So when you look at it like that, they're not that hard to do, but to do them consistently, sometimes it can be. That's why I have that whiteboard to try and keep that accountability and make it, a little bit of a fun game with my partner to see how well we can maintain these healthy habits.
Yeah, I think a checklist's a good idea because every one that you went through, I thought, well, that's obvious. But it's, I certainly don't do those 10 things. Definitely nature as well. Nature sort of pricked my attention because I always feel like if I go for a walk somewhere, like take my dog for a walk, I feel good. And also I like the one about chatting with your loved ones or spending time with your loved ones. That can help mental health, can't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a study that Harvard did that's still ongoing. That's the longest study ever on human well-being. I think it started in 1938. And the findings are showing that the number one predictor of somebody's quality of life is their quality of connections with others. So it's so important that we invest time in building those connections. And with the world we live in right now, we've got more connections than ever. Social media, our connections are wider than ever, but we're losing that depth that we really need to feel seen, to feel like we belong. So for me, it's about having that, dedicated time to actually have a deep conversation, go a little bit below the surface level and, build those important connections with the people we love.
Yeah. And I interviewed somebody yesterday and we were talking about screen time, and I'm the world's worst. The first thing I do in the morning is pick up my phone even before I've got out of bed, and the last thing I'll do is check it at night. And I know that that's wrong, and I have tried really hard to not look at it, to get up, get ready, go down to breakfast and look at it when I have my coffee, which I think is a good thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more that we can limit our screen time, the better, because then we're just present with, the present moment rather than this little screen that has access to absolutely everything. And obviously, before bed, if we're scrolling social media, we're just getting these dopamine hits over and over and over again, and it makes it a lot harder to sleep. And then as well, having blue light in our eyes really blocks our melatonin production, which makes us sleep. So there's a cascading effect of things that, downstream aren't as good if we're on our phone in the mornings and at night. But I completely understand. To be honest, on my full potential habits list that I just talked through, screen time and that boundary is probably one of the ones that me and my partner get across on the most, because there's many different things that I have to do. Right now it's 12:30 in the middle of the morning for me at midnight, and I'm looking at a screen. I'm here in Australia, so there's some days that I have to look at a screen at night, but it's just about having that boundary there and having that in front of your face to try and go, oh wow, that's 5 days in a row that I've had a cross for screen time. All right, I'm going to try and be a bit more diligent today. And there's some great things that we can use on our phone. Like if you use an iPhone, I just use the sleep setting, and I've set it up that I'll get no notifications from after 7 p.m. at night. And the way that I look at it is between 7 p.m. at night and 7 a.m., the world gets me for 12 hours where anyone can access me basically through my phone. With 8 hours of sleep a night, or 9 hours I try and usually get, that's only 3 hour window where people don't have access to me, where I can actually, be present with my partner, with my thoughts, with other things. And as I said, I break that rule quite often. So it's just a boundary to try and have because, I know the positive benefits from it.
The problem is, Keeper, I get what you're saying, but then when 7 o'clock in the morning comes, you get loads of messages you have to deal with and answer.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's hard when you've got all these different things that are popping up on your phone, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, what's going to make me best show up productively and with energy throughout the day today? And, all the research shows if you can get up, do some sort of exercise, spend a little bit of time in nature, get some sunlight, have something healthy in your body, and then pick up your phone, you're going to be so much more productive throughout the day. But I'm a sucker for it too. It's very addictive, that little screen that we all look at. So it's just about, becoming more aware of it and then trying to take those small steps towards, a little bit more, a little bit more of a boundary around our screen time.
Yeah. And we are only just realising just how important sleep is, aren't we?
Oh, sleep is the foundation of everything. If we're not sleeping well, our body's not healing, our body's not recovering, and then we can't show up the next day. So, yeah, there's so many things that we can do as well to improve our sleep. And the more people I talk to on my podcast and with the work that I deliver, so many people are struggling with sleep. And yeah, I just love getting to learn from sleep experts on my podcast and learn some simple things like the environment we're in really matters. Trying to make sure we're in a cool environment. I talk about in the book between 19 to 21 degrees Celsius is a good temperature. You want to be able to cool down. You want to have a really dark environment and a really quiet environment. You also want to try not to eat a few hours before you sleep so your digestion isn't in full swing right when you go to bed. So all of these small little tweaks that we can make can vastly improve our sleep. So then once again, we wake up more rested and we can, take on the day doing the things that we love.
Yeah. And I read that this all began in 2020 after you saw your sister lose multiple friends to suicide. Was that to do with COVID?
No, it was actually in 2019. My sister was in her last year of high school and, she'd had a pretty tough time in year 12 here in Australia. And, after losing those friends, it was just a big wake-up call for me. I was a professional surfer, traveling the world, living a pretty extraordinary life. And then I realized, there was these young kids taking their life in my local community, and I'd had some family history of mental illness and, learned quite a lot in my journey as a professional athlete, how to best manage my emotions and manage my internal world. And I realized I never learned any of it at school. And I was like, maybe I can talk to a few high school students about my story. Maybe it'll help one or two of them. And I went and spoke at my old high school, shared my story and some of these skills that really helped me. And the students were like, wow, that was great. And then it's really snowballed, and now it's my full-time job. I've educated over 50,000 students with wellbeing workshops at high schools in Australia. I've also, turned it into a big corporate offering where I've now worked with Apple, Telstra, Red Bull, Amazon, Westpac, Coles, McDonald's, and really helped a lot of staff with taking care of their wellbeing. And the angle that I really take is we have mental health and we have mental illness. So often in the mental health space, we're really focusing on mental illness, depression, anxiety, solving crisis, which is so important. But I come from the angle of we all have mental health. So if all of us start to take these simple actions, we're going to see an upstream, positive effect. So I'm really about trying to encourage everybody to take those individual actions. And it went from workshops to a podcast. I've now written the book, The 1% Good Club, and built some, massive communities online to really just give people a place to go to be part of a community to take action for their mental health.
Excellent. Hear, hear. Now, I know your website is called thegoodhumanfactory.com. Is that the name of the podcast as well, if people want to find it?
So, the website is thegoodhumanfactory.com. If you want to find anything more about the workshops that I deliver them virtually. I know I'm in another country right now on this radio interview, so I've definitely delivered quite a few international workshops virtually. So you can find out all about that on the website. Or if you want to check out my podcast, it's just called Good Humans with Cooper Chapman. You can find that on Spotify, on Apple. You can also go on YouTube and look up The Good Human Factory, and you'll find all the video episodes as well, which, is really cool. I get to interview so many fascinating people, from neuroscientists to F1 drivers, $100 million entrepreneurs, pretty much everything in between. I've been lucky enough to talk to them. I've got an episode coming out today with a monk. I had one last week with a hypnotist. It's just fascinating getting to talk to all these people and learn all these different things that we can do, to take care of our well-being, and understanding that everything won't work for everyone, but there is something for everyone. So it's so important we're continually having those conversations and continually looking for things that can, help improve our life, because with the advancements in technology and the way the world's moving, there's so much out there to learn. So I say to people, really try and make sure that you're going to grow through life, not just go through life.
Oh, that's a good one. And I'm continually learning with my job, talking to people like you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel an absolute privilege that I get to, share my story with people like yourself. And, I think life of service and trying to share information that's profoundly helped us is, what all of us should be doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just for our listeners, you can buy the book right now. It's called The 1% Good Club, The Simple Way to Transform Your Mental Health, and it's by Cooper Chapman, who we're chatting to now. And just give us your website address once more, Cooper.
Yeah, the best spot internationally, I'm not 100% sure where else you can get it. It might be on Amazon, but if you are listening and you feel like this is something that you want to grab a copy of, on my website, thegoodhumanfactory.com, you can get a copy of the book. I personally sign all of the copies on my website as well, and I ship internationally. So, thank you guys so much for giving me the chance to share a little bit about myself. Hopefully it sparked a bit of curiosity maybe for people around taking that action for their mental health. And if you have any questions about anything you heard me speak about today, just send me a DM on Instagram at Cooper Chapman. And love getting to connect with people all around the world.
Thank you, Cooper. And now turn your screen off and go to sleep.
Thanks so much. Good night.
My pleasure. Good night. Bye-bye.